So you're not 100% sure if you want to join the National Honor Society or not. Why don't we talk about that? So I know a large portion of you guys who have joined NHS are doing so, you have to be honest with yourself for a second. A lot of you guys are simply doing this for your college application. Now, I'm sure you guys all probably enjoy community service. You enjoy a lot of these things, but inevitably the end goal is for you to basically just slap this on your college application, pad your resume a little bit. And I want to tell you guys that honestly, it's not as big of a resume boost as you think it might be. I want you to think about this for a second. There are probably thousands of high schools in the US, if not more than 10,000, right? And for each one of those schools, there's a valedictorian, there's a salutatorian, there's a NHS president, there's a varsity soccer captain. So for each of these schools, there's all these different people. So when they all apply to the same schools, you're not going to stand out that much. And not to mention that there's not just NHS, there's specific branches into different parts of academia, right? There's the Spanish Honor Society, there's the Math Honor Society, there's a Science Honor Society, and it keeps going. So how can you differentiate yourself? And that's kind of the question that we should aim to answer in this video. Now, viewers, I'm going to divide you guys into two main groups right now. So if you guys are aiming to go to a top 20 school or just a really good school with a low acceptance rate, please skip to this timestamp that I'm clicking down right here. Go to that part of the video. Now, if you're not aiming for like a top 20 school, you just want to go to your local state school or a good school in your state, continue watching this portion of the video. So I'm assuming that those of you that are still watching are those that don't want to really go to a top 20 school, and that's totally fine. I want you guys to start off this whole process by thinking about what do you want to gain out of NHS or whatever honor society you're hoping to join, right? A lot of the main characteristics I tend to see is obviously one is college application, sure. But even beyond that, you want to develop character, you want to be more involved in the community through community service, and you want to develop as a leader, right? And honestly, these are all great opportunities that NHS provides, right? It has certain standards that say, hey, you need to be in good academia standing, you can't be, morally unethical, and it gives you opportunities for leadership by becoming an officer or participating in community service events and leading your team, right? And these are all great things. And so in general, what I'll say is that if you're not aiming for a T20 school or a top 20 school, that NHS is a great option. You should take part in it, And I want you guys to understand that it's not just about the college applications, y'all. NHS is a great opportunity to develop your character, your community service. All these things is stuff that NHS can improve greatly. All right, so I'm assuming that those of y'all that are still sticking around at this chapter or timestamp are people that want to go to a top 20 school. Now, my answer to this is going to be a little bit more complicated than if you weren't going to go to a top 20 school. So here's what I'm going to say. Like I said earlier in the video, you're not going to stand out that much by being your, NHS chapter president or your Science National Honor Society chapter president, or even a treasurer, historian, or whatever position it might be. And if you haven't joined NHS already, what I recommend doing is that you still join, but don't put so much effort into it to make it like your number one or number two activity, and instead just point your time into some other direction. You can stand out in a bunch of different ways. If you're an athlete, being like a national level competitor in like skiing or basketball, any sport is going to be much more valuable than spending hours and hours at NHS every week. And I'm not saying this just because NHS is bad. It's a great opportunity, and I think that's why I still want you guys to be in the club. It's a great opportunity to develop your leader, develop your character, develop all those characteristics that make you a great human being. But I'm just saying that don't depend on it to make it your best activity on your college application, because there's a lot more different things that you can put on that application to make you stand out. Now, for the rest of the honor society, so if it's not just NHS, what I recommend is that if it's a field that actually interests you, so if you want to become a scientist or become a cardiologist, something in the STEM field, and Science National Honor Society is an option for you, maybe join that. I think that's totally fine. But don't just stretch it just for the sake of joining these clubs. It's not going to help you in any way. And honestly, one or even two of these honor societies is enough to develop your character, develop your leadership and all that. And that's totally fine. Now, for those of you guys who skipped to this timestamp, I'm assuming that y'all are already in NHS or another honor society. You don't really know what to do. Should you drop it? Should you put more effort? What is kind of the case? And what I'll say is that I want you guys to stay in the club regardless of what your goals are. It's still a great opportunity to develop your character. Now, if you're gonna go to a T20 school and you're not an officer in the club yet, I would honestly just recommend that you don't really try out for officer. I mean, you can if you want, but again, I'm just saying that you don't want to put your full force into it and put your time in something else. This is not going to be your best bet, your best ticket to these schools. If you're not aiming for T20 school, I'd say go for the officer position. You know, I have a lot of friends that are officers at their NHS chapter, and it's a great opportunity to develop their leadership in all these different skills, so go for it. But I'd also say just don't drop the club, you know, because then on your college application, it's just going to be like, you know, why did this student drop their club? You know, drop the club, how can we trust them to stay full force for all 4 years at our college, right? And again, just stay in for the character, you know, just for all that development. Alright, so I appreciate y'all sticking around till the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. So leave a comment down below if you want me to cover a different specific topic, and I'll see you in the next one.